Welcome back to the 2JZ swap to 40SX project. Now, one of the problems I was having was getting this downpipe to fit. It is the CxRacing downpipe. To be fair, their website does say that you need to run their manifold if you want to guarantee fitment for their downpipe, but I'm not a fan of the collectors on their manifold, so I got my own manifold. As you can see here, there's going to be about a 1/4 of an inch gap here at the V-bands that don't allow me to connect it all the way. And then on the back side, you'll see that I am hitting the firewall and I cannot get up any higher. Banging it out is not really an option. I just don't think the angle is going to be right, so I went ahead and got this custom fit. And as far as that custom fit goes, that means that I had to have this V-band flange at the end just cut and clocked a little bit, and it was able to clear afterwards, but I'll have that in a later video. I did get the S13 brake booster mounted in here. It looks great. I'm glad I took the time to get it painted. Also mounted the clutch master cylinder, and everything fits great. The S14 brake booster gives so much more clearance than the S13 one. And here's the 300ZX brake master cylinder that'll be going onto the booster. And here's the clutch line coming off of the Clutch Masters FX850 clutch, and I'm going to run this just right over the S14 brake booster here and connect it to my Clutch Master cylinder. So I did repaint the weather cowl strips as y'all saw in one of the previous videos. It's looking pretty good. The one thing I still need to do is the windshield trim. I need to take that off and spray that down and get it clean looking, just like the weather cowl. So a lot of people will do is they will reuse their S13 throttle cable and they will loop it within the engine bay so they can essentially shorten it and then mount it to the 2JZ throttle body, but I'm not looking to do that here. I don't want a looped look of a cable that looks a little too long in the engine bay, so I'm going to end up measuring here at some point, marking this and cutting it, shortening it up, or I might just grab an entirely different cable altogether. I do have a bunch of Honda throttle body cables from other previous projects, and I'll likely just grab one of the Honda cables, cut it, shorten that up, and then get it to mount to the throttle body here. And here are the Honda throttle cables. I'm pretty excited for the Chase Bays brake line kit that cleans up the lines of the engine bay a little bit. I would have liked to use my factory brake lines, but it was just going to be really hard taking those off, painting the car's engine bay, and then getting those back in. So I bought this instead. So I'm just going to leave the Chase Bays brake lines here on top of the engine while I show y'all how I'm going to be doing the wiring on this. So I'm going to have the wiring go from here and wrap around the back side of the block, and I'm going to grab some insulated clamps so I can hang it up along the firewall. That way it's not sitting on the bell housing of the transmission, but you can see the grommet there going right back inside of the firewall, and that's where the ECU is going to go in the footwell on the passenger side. And yeah. So when it comes to radiators, I did buy a Megan Racing radiator. I looked at other brands and they're a little more expensive, which is not that cost is a big issue, but I'm just trying to stay within a budget. I've bought a lot of Megan Racing products and a few project cars in the past, so I just wanted to repeat the purchases with this company as they've been pretty good. This is an SR20 radiator. The reason why I went with an SR20 is because the upper water neck sits almost directly in front of the water neck on the 2JZ GE, whereas on the GTE the water neck would have been on the other side. I just don't want to run a coolant line across the front of the engine bay, which we know the GTEs do that. I just never been a fan. I want this to be a very clean look, but the welds on this radiator are pretty decent, so I don't have any complaints. So now that I've got a lot of the mechanical engine components sorted out and pretty much squared away as far as where everything is going to fit, now it's time to run the chassis wiring harness. Now this is the same harness that I did a lot of reduction as far as the wires, so I did delete the power steering, power windows, and any other power amenities that ran with this, and it definitely made the wiring a lot thinner, less bulkier. And I've been avoiding this for quite a while because I just don't like working with wiring, but since all the mechanical stuff is done, it's time to start running all the wires. So I'm just going to run it through the factory hole here and use a factory grommet. That way I can protect the paint. I was very careful about flopping around the wires, that way none of the clips or any of the fuse boxes would scratch the new paint. I'm taking a break from some wiring real quick to go ahead and put this beam back in so that way I can eventually get the dash remounted, radio, run the wires, etc. Okay, now it's time to mount the 300ZX brake booster. You'll see in the middle here there's a plug. I think it has something to do with ABS or non-ABS. I can't remember. But what we're going to do is pull that plug out. That way we can run our Chase Bay's brake line kit to all three of these ports. And the middle one, typically if you wanted to reuse your brake lines, it won't work. You have to do a different type of flare. I can't remember. But either way, because we have a Chase Bay's kit and it comes with crush washers, that won't be an issue. I am just incredibly stunned at how much room I have here between the brake master cylinder and the 2JZ intake manifold using this S13 brake booster, which is such a great idea. Now this plug here, this came with the factory S13 harness. There is no, I'm not seeing any type of conversion I have to do to make this plug work. It actually just plugs right into this plug here. Now to make some AN lines. Now these are some lines that I had left over from 6 or 7 years ago from previous projects, but I'm going to be creating my own lines for my catch can. It was a custom catch can that I bought from a guy on the S Chassis Facebook pages, and I knew I had some lines left around, so I went ahead and just made my own and kept the kit pretty expensive in the end, really. And what you'll find is that if you've never done AN lines before, it's very, very easy to do. And I wish I learned this a lot sooner when I first started playing with cars. But now that I know, I just want to make all my lines myself now. Although, just as a note, you do have to be careful that when you cut these lines, if you leave a little bit of a fray with the metal, the line there, it will stick you pretty good. So just watch out for that. And by the way, I do not have an actual wrench for AN fittings, so I just put a little bit of tape here on the ends of the crescent wrench, and that allows me to tighten on the fittings without scratching them. Now a little bit of my OCD kicks in when I want to make sure that all these line up right here. And as I mount these, I like to do them just hand tight at first to make sure the fitment is good before I tighten anything down. So I'll just grab it, and if it starts to bind up, I back off. I do not force the threading because you don't want to cross thread anything. Once you cross thread it, there's a possibility you may not get a good seal when you tighten everything down. And I'm really digging the clearance that I have here over the downpipe and the turbo, and as well as the hood clearance when I put the hood on. And the engine bay is slowly coming together. And here's one of the things I've been excited to get to, which is mounting the ISR one-piece aluminum drive shaft. It is very lightweight, it is very well made. I'm very much glad that I sprung the extra cash to buy this. And the shaft slides in no problem right up into the R154. And after I had finished this, I was slightly concerned about how much it stuck out of the backside of the transmission here. But a lot of the people on the S Chassis forums have assured me that this is normal and there's nothing to worry about. So the drive shaft is in and everything is torqued down to spec. I'm going to stop here for the night and we will see you in the next video.